Hello everyone, my name is Ivo and welcome to Cooking with the Koyas. Today folks, we are going to make an amazing loaf of bread using Einkorn flour. Yes folks, Einkorn flour is not like the common modern day flour that we buy today. Einkorn flour, folks, goes back tens of thousands of years, 10, 12,000 years ago. It's made with an ancient grain, and it's what they used to say is how wheat or how flour should be. So back in the early 90s, they started to genetically modify wheat in order to get more production and more glutens. So if you know someone who became gluten intolerant after 1990, that could be one of the reasons why, because the flour that they're making today is with genetically modified wheat. So Einkorn flour is its original state, the original ancient grain going back, like I say, 10, 12,000 years, and it's still in its most natural state. In fact, it's higher in proteins and vitamins. It's better for you than the modern day flour. So today, folks, I'd like to introduce you to Einkorn flour, and let's make an amazing ancient loaf of bread. Okay, so I'm going to fire up our weigh scale, and here I have two different, here's a whole wheat Einkorn flour. You can see ancient grain even on the packaging. Okay, and this one here is an all-purpose, but I love it. It says right on here, the only wheat never hybridized, low gluten index, and this one happens to be unbleached and unbromated. So anyways, what I like about this, it's got the low gluten index. So with Einkorn flour, if you are gluten insensitive or gluten sensitive, I should say, this might be a good flour for you. If you're gluten intolerant, of course, this isn't going to help you because there's gluten in here, but there's less gluten than our modern day flours. So again, if you're just gluten sensitive or on the cusp, then this might be the flour for you. So we're going to start off with, let's go with 50 grams of this beautiful whole wheat Einkorn flour. Oh, I went to 51, that's okay. So 50 grams is basically 1.7 ounces. And now for our all-purpose white, we're going to put in about 400 grams, which is also about 14.1 ounces. So it's going to bring the total flour to 450 grams. So you don't have to mix, you could just use all-purpose white. I just happen to be mixing a little bit of whole wheat with it, but basically you want to start off with 450 grams of flour, which is 15.8 ounces. Okay, it's beautiful white flour actually, folks. And almost there. And we are there. Perfect. Okay, so we've got our flour, whole wheat, and all-purpose. And to that we are going to add, folks, 13 grams of salt. So let me just tear that. 13 grams of salt. And that's about, there we go, 13 grams there, which is about a half an ounce, let's say, okay? And now I'm going to add some diastatic malt powder. This basically, folks, it's all natural. It's a grain. It's most likely barley. It's 100% natural. It's called diastatic malt. And we want to add about 1.5 teaspoons, which is about 4 grams of diastatic malt. Okay, now, we've got our salt, we've got our malt, and we've got our flour. Next, we are going to add some sourdough starter. Here's my sourdough starter here, and you can see it's about doubled in size. So you want an active sourdough starter, folks. I keep mine in the fridge, and then when I'm ready to use it, I take it out of the fridge, and I let it sit at room temp for about 6 hours, and it's usually doubled by then. Otherwise, if you leave it on the counter after you're feeding, it'll take anywhere from about 9 hours on average to double in size. Okay, and we want to add 400 grams of our sourdough starter. So we're keeping with the natural theme here, folks. We're not even going to use modern day yeast. We're going to use sourdough starter. And because I didn't tear out my weigh scale, a little bit much, but not much. Okay, that's fine. All right, so we've got our sourdough starter in. I can actually turn the scale off because here, folks, I have 235 grams, which is about 8.3 ounces of warm water. Oh, I'm going to say about 80 degree, just lukewarm water, 80 degree Fahrenheit. Okay, and now we're just going to mix all those ingredients together. So I'm gonna mix this and get most of it incorporated. And yes, folks, I'm gonna get in there with my hands, and we're gonna knead this just a bit. We're gonna mix it a bit and just work it just a little bit more. So let me get this incorporated. Alrighty, and I like to use a good firm spatula, folks, for this. And you can see we have it basically worked, but it's not completely. There's still some loose flour kicking around. So we're gonna dig in with our hands. Okay, and remember I said this flour is actually higher in protein. So that all-purpose flour, folks, that we used is almost 13.5% protein. And that whole wheat flour, these are Einkorn flours now that we used, is 15%. So it's going to make, folks, an amazing, amazing loaf of bread. So now we get in there with our hands. Okay, so we're going to just pick up all the flour and squeeze this dough in between our hands. So let's get it all worked in here. Pick up all the flour from the bottom. It's going to be sticky and gooey. That's okay. It's part of it. Okay, and you pick up all the flour until there's no flour left. It's all into the dough. And it looks like I've got all the flour now. Okay, so now we're going to squeeze the dough like this. So I'm going to take the dough and squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Right? All I'm doing is taking that dough and just squeezing it in my hands. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. So I'm going to do this. Lift. I'm going to actually lift it and squeeze it. Lift it and squeeze it. And that's going to actually develop the glutens as well. So I'm going to do this for 2 minutes. So it's been about 2 minutes, and I don't know if my camera angle was good last time, but basically, yes, squeezing like that, okay? And I've basically been doing this for 2 minutes now, and our dough has firmed up. Okay, it's gotten firmer. There you go. It's got a little more structure to it. It's worked very nicely. And yes, okay, like I say, it's gonna stick. So let me get this cleaned up and we'll show you the next step. Okay, there we have it. Nice and cleaned up. There's our dough, as you can see there, folks. Okay, like I say, it's firmed up. It's firmed up nicely. And it's gonna now sit in this container. It has to double. So typically, folks, you know, in a house that's around 68, 70 degrees, it's going to take about 12 hours to double. If it's hotter, it could be 10. If it's colder, it could be 14. So basically from 10 to 14 hours, with the average being 12 hours. And this dough should rise from where it is right here. It should come at least to the 2 liter mark. It should come up to about there. So we will see in 12 hours how our dough is doing. So we'll cover it up, give it a rest, back at you in 12 hours, thereabouts. So folks, it's been about 12 hours, and yes, I like to do this the night before so that the next day I can make my fresh bread. Okay, so let's take a look and see how our dough is doing. And oh yes, as you can see there, folks, it's right at the 2 liter 2 quart mark. So it has risen very, very nicely. Okay, let's take a closer look at this dough. So here I have a bread bonneton. And if you don't have a bonneton, you can use just a cutting board. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to very generously line this bonneton with, I'm using whole wheat flour because I found whole wheat flour prevents sticking much better than, let's say, other flours do. So I'm going to line this with whole wheat flour. Again, this will help prevent sticking. Okay, the bonneton is ready. Again, if you don't have one, just use a cutting board and put the whole wheat flour on the cutting board. All right, so here's our beautiful dough. Isn't that nice, folks? Look at that. Okay. Beautiful aroma with that sourdough. Okay, so we are going to take with a spatula. I like to use a spatula, folks. Get yourself a firm spatula, works great. And just slowly work this dough out of your proofing container. Okay. It's firmed up very, very, very nicely. And a little bit more. There we have it. Okay. Beautiful. Look at that. Scrape a little more out of there. Okay, so there's our beautiful dough. Now what we want to do is what's called a four-fold. So you can put a little flour on your hands if you want, but basically we're going to grab one end, one side, and one side. So we'll grab one end, lift, and fold it over. Grab the other end, lift, and fold it over. Grab the side, lift, and fold, and the other side, lift, and fold. Okay, now we can turn it over, and we're going to shape this bread into a round, and to do so, folks, is quite easy. All you do is basically cup your hands around the back of the dough, okay, and pull the dough towards you. So what will happen is, you see how the dough kind of rolls, and you do it on a dry surface so that it grips and rolls and tightens up as you do it. So just turn the dough, pull it towards you. Turn it a bit, pull it towards you. Turn it a bit, pull it towards you. There you go. We've got a beautiful round right now. Okay. So we're going to put that and place that beautiful dough into our bonneton. A little bit of whole wheat flour on the top. And then our towel. We take our kitchen towel again, and we are going to cover this up. And folks, this is going to rest for a total of 2 hours, but at the 1.5-hour mark, we're going to make our way to the stove and get it preheated. So let's let it rest for 2 hours, but I'll see you in an 1.5 hours, and we'll preheat our oven. So here we are. It's been an 1.5 hours, and our dough is resting very, very nicely. And what I have here, folks, I have a Dutch oven. Of course, it's an empty Dutch oven, okay, with a lid. Now, if you don't have a Dutch oven with a lid, any oven container with a lid will do just fine. But we are going to put it in the oven, and we're going to preheat the oven and the Dutch oven at 475 degrees, and it's going to preheat for 30 minutes. So 30 minutes later, we'll put our dough in and start baking our bread. So it's now oven mitt time, because our oven has been preheated for 30 minutes. So out comes the hot, very hot Dutch oven. Okay, and now it's time to put our dough in. Yes, it's very hot. So let's check out our dough. Look at that, folks. Dough's looking really, really nice. It's risen nicely. Okay, so off goes the lid, and I'm just going to score the top of the dough with this bread lame. If you don't have a bread lame, you can use a pair of scissors, for example. Okay, so I'm going to carefully put the dough. See how it comes out very nicely out of that bonneton because of all the flour we put in. And now I'm going to score the top, and because we're making an ancient loaf of bread, I'm going to score it with the letter A on top. How's that? So you could score it any way you want, folks. Have some fun with it. Put your initials in there, whatever you want. But let's go with the letter A. So that scoring, folks, is going to help with the rise of the bread, the spring, and it's also going to add some character. All right, let's put it in the oven. Okay, again, the oven mitts go on. And we're just gonna put that into our oven with the lid on, folks. Very important with the lid on. And like I say, we are gonna bake this now for 30 minutes at 475 degrees Fahrenheit with the lid on. Very important for the lid on because that's gonna retain the humidity, and it's gonna let our dough rise properly and not dry out. So that's the key. The lid is the key. Okay, so we'll come back at you in 30 minutes. So it's been 30 minutes. Time to take a look at our bread. Let's check it out. Oh boy, it's looking mighty fine, folks. Mighty fine. Okay, so lid off. We're gonna continue to bake this anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. For my oven, it usually takes about 12 minutes to get the color that I want. So it's personal preference. You want it more golden, take it out at 10 minutes. You want it darker, take it out closer to 15. But we'll check it out at about 12 minutes and see how it's doing. So our 12 minutes are now up. Let's check out our bread. Oh, that to me is just exactly, folks, what I wanted to see. That little bit of black on the top of that bread. Oh my, and we got a great rise on this bread, folks. Let's take a look at this. Oh, wow. Folks, take a look at this beautiful, beautiful loaf of bread right there. Isn't that nice? Okay, let's take a look at the bottom. See that little bit of darkness? That's what I want right there. To me, this is ideal. And you see this dark right here, this little dark on the cusp of that cut? That's beautiful. That's what I'm looking for right there. And remember that scoring we did? Look, doesn't that bread have beautiful character? Okay, so now the hard part. Now, folks, we need to let our beautiful bread rest because the crust is still forming, the crumb is still forming. It's going to start to crackle a little bit. So, I mean, we can still cut into it when it's warm, but you want to wait at least 15 minutes. I like to give it about 30. So we're going to let this just relax and continue to settle, and then we'll cut into it. I'm anxious and looking forward to doing the taste test. I have been patiently waiting, and let's take another look at this loaf of bread. It's still nice and warm. Isn't that beautiful? I almost don't want to cut into it, but of course I will. Gorgeous. And then another look at the bottom. Just perfect, folks. That's how I like it. Okay, let's give a cut into this and see how the crumb looks. Alrighty, we're going to cut this right up the middle, folks. Oh, what a nice crust and crumb. I can tell it's soft. Wow. Let's take a look at that. Oh my, folks, look at there. That is a beautiful crumb, and look at that crust. Nice thick crust. Beautiful rise on this bread. Nice air pockets. Oh yes, taste test coming up right now. Always my favorite part, folks, you know that. But let's take a closer look at that crumb. This will show you better. Beautiful, beautiful crumb. And you can see the thickness of the crust. Just perfect. Okay. Let's cut into an end piece here. I'm excited for this, folks, the taste test. Yes, I'm not putting any butter on it, not putting any oil on it. I want to taste it in its natural state. Oh my. That is one rustic artisan bread right there, folks. The flavor. Yes, it's different. It is definitely different. You will be able to taste the difference between this bread and bread made with modern day flour. Rustic, artisan style, ancient bread made with Einkorn flour. I don't know if it gets any better than this. This is the way our ancestors used to make bread, with this particular flour and sourdough. And the beauty is we can still make that bread today because that ancient wheat, folks, is still around. If you've never tried, first of all, if you're gluten sensitive, you'll want to try this bread. But if you've never tried a bread made with ancient grain, this is the one to make right here, folks. Follow this recipe. You will love it. I absolutely love it. And wherever you're tuning in from, as always, thanks for spending time in the kitchen with me today. And until next time, buon appetito. Next piece, maybe a little butter or olive oil on it. You really have to give this bread a try. That's amazing flavor.